Hey, what's up, vinyl community? This is Andy. I'm making a response to Kieran's the NeedleGroove. Kieran is not contest, just the theme, which I like themes. He wanted us to do 10 records under $10, which I think is a good idea. But I also cheated a little bit, and I'm a little lazy. So, so sorry, Kieran, but I stretched it to 15. Partly, I think that's because I was looking at Discogs to try to judge what these records go for, and of course, there's a premium on Discogs relative to in what I've experienced relative to what I would pay at a store. So maybe these are actually under 10. Some of them are even under 10 on Discogs, but I allowed myself a little wiggle room there. And then, because then, 10 under 15 doesn't sound right, and I couldn't think of 10 records last night. I also did 5, so 5 under 15. I'm amending the theme just a little bit, but in the spirit of the 10 under 10. Okay, so first I'm gonna, and some of these I think it's really artists that you could get stuff for under 15, but one that I see under $15, even under $10, and it's a great album. It's Talking Heads, Fear of Music. This is, I think, their '83 album. I think this was the year this was released. I've never been quite sure if all of them are made as if they're coming from Portugal, or if I somehow have a Portuguese copy of this. But because they're kind of weird dudes, so maybe it was all as if it was Portuguese. But whatever, I got this online a while back, or 4 years ago now, 5 years ago. And this has a lot of their stuff with Eno, and it's got this kind of Afro electro beat sound to it. So if you only know the Talking Heads from like Burning Down the House and Life During Naive Melody, there are two hits that have been all over the place. This is a very different sounding record, and it has one of my favorite songs of theirs of all time. I love the Talking Heads. So one of my favorite songs is here on side one, called Life During Wartime. And so this is like a really tense song about living under the specter of nuclear war. And they did a funkier version of it later on live on the Stop Making Sense. But this version's the original. And this record I saw on Discogs and listed VG to VG Plus, all like 100 copies or something, under $10. So if you don't have that, there's no excuse. Get that record. Some of their other ones would go for like 25, 30 if you saw them in stores, like Talking Head 77 might go for more, but that one is somehow a little underappreciated. One I showed on my Instagram yesterday, and one that I actually got for free because it was from my advisor from undergrad. But then I went and looked it up, and it's $15 on Discogs, right and left. Is this Roy Haynes on Mainstream, Senya? There's some. Isn't that cool? So it's got Hannibal Peterson on here. Gatefold. That's cool. I had never heard this record before. Of course, I've heard lots of Roy Haynes, but I kind of was ignoring mainstream releases for some reason. And then when my advisor gave this to me, it was just awesome. It has like a spiritual feel to it, with a little bit of free, but it's much tighter than a lot of those. I mean, the band is tight. Which of course starts with having probably one of the best drummers, jazz drummers ever, leading it. So it's great, and it's a bargain. I've never seen it in person, but on Discogs, at a store in person. But on Discogs, it was listing for $15 or under. Okay. Okay, the next one is more. So this specific record, you may not be able to find for under $15. I'm not sure because it's a German import, but you can find Kinks compilations for under $15, under $10. You can get them for free probably if you just ask around. Because the Kinks were a singles band if you really think about it, and they had some great albums, but it's for like the deep collector. People loved their singles, and so they had a ton of compilations. I just sold three Marble Arch compilations that I got in that lot, that Kinks lot I showed. I just sold them at the end of an year because I have all those songs on the original albums. Um, I sold those, and I think none of them were priced over $10. They're just not that, they're not that rare because people were buying them in droves. But this is a German one, and if you could find this one, I would definitely recommend it over the others, just because it's a 2-disc comp. It's called Kinks Pop Chronic. It's on the Pi, which I don't think means much because it's the German, but it's always cool to have that pink Pi. But the main reason I would suggest this is 2 discs, really good quality, and it covers not just their early stuff, but also into like at least through something else. So it has Waterloo Sunset on it, which you just got to have that song. So it goes a little bit farther into their career than some of the earlier ones. But again, they have so many compilations for the Kinks that you can find some Kinks compilation for well under the budget. And if you don't have any Kinks, get one of those compilations, and you'll probably then go and start looking for all of the Kinks albums, which is what happened with me. Of course, I knew some of their songs, but at some point when I started buying records, I got a compilation just like, I know the Kinks, and I listened to it, and I was like, I love every one of these songs. And so I went and just bought all of them. Okay. And then I don't know if I've talked about Leonard Cohen before on here or not, but this record is readily available. If you don't for some reason have it, you just got to go get it. This is such a great record. This is not a 2i copy. I think you can get the 2i copy for under the budget as well. You Canadians may be able to find a mono copy. I don't think mono was ever released in the U.S. Whenever I'm in Canada, I always look for a mono, haven't come across it. So it has CL9533 on the cover, which tells me that they at least had plans at some point to release that in mono, but I've never seen it. Okay, and the last one, I've shown this record so many times, you guys are going to think I'm like friends with this guy or something. I have purchased 5 copies of this record over the past couple years. I've never paid more than $10. I've paid as little as $2. This is a 1980s fusion, disco, funk, jazz stuff. Peter Gordon, Innocent. This has Arthur Russell on some vocals, huge guy in dance music, and kind of avant-garde. It's so good, and I give it to people right and left, and no one is quite, I think, enjoyed it as much as I do. But it has one of his best songs he ever wrote on it, called "Fat Hat," on the A side, and also "The Day the Devil Comes to Get You." So that hat has Arthur Russell on vocals. Arthur Russell's stuff gets reissued constantly, always like $40 because it's always import. But this is a cheap way to get some Arthur Russell in your life. It's on CBS. Let me see if this has this, and it's worth. If you see this for like $2, it's worth it for this photo alone. Okay, you could spare $2 to have that photo. You frame it, put it on your locker. If there are any people, any high schoolers out there that just give it to them and say, put that in your locker. Everyone is going to think you're the weirdest person you might score. Okay, you might get the weirdest girl in your class or guy, just from having that photo. Okay. All right, so that's 5 under 15. I think most of them, if you looked, if you were, if you found something on a good day, could be found under 10. But I just wanted to give myself that wiggle room. And I also could only think of 5 last night as I was sitting there listening to music. So, cool idea, Kieran. I had an idea like this a while back. I don't know if I ever posted a video of like cheesy covers with good music. Maybe I'll redo that if I did. I don't remember if I ever posted it, but I probably only had like 3 people following me at that point, so no one saw it. All right, cool guys. Talk to you later.